Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And this is a video I actually wanted to do for a while because it shows you how they're trying to keep people distracted from the real disruption that's taking place. So Eric Trump says, stop betting against Bitcoin and Ethereum. You'll be run over. Now, why is he always promoting Bitcoin and Ethereum? I believe it's because he wants to continue pumping his Bitcoin and ETH bags. But we'll get back to that in a minute. And this puts it into perspective. So the US dollar, it's fake. It's always losing value. Bitcoin is the pretend fix to the US dollar. The real fix to the US dollar problems is XRP. It can strengthen the US dollar by moving it around the world in a matter of seconds for less than a penny. It's going to play a very big role in banking the unbanked population of the world. It's going to take digital dollars to places in the world where people could never even have a bank account before. That's the capabilities of XRP. This comes from Vincent Van Code. Did you know the vast majority of the world thinks Bitcoin means cryptocurrency? They don't know it's one of a million tokens. Bitcoin enjoys an early mover advantage, and while I think it still has a part to play, I believe its dominance will soon come to an end once people realize there are other, more potential players out there. And that's what I've been saying this entire time. Even now, with crypto being able to be put into 401ks, they're going to give Bitcoin that first mover advantage. They're going to promote that through Bitcoin. Then later, people will realize there's better options out there. As time goes on, Bitcoin is going to become irrelevant. It's not going to be the #1 cryptocurrency anymore either. It's going to be replaced by something that solves a real world problem and has real value. But let's get back to Eric Trump. So Eric Trump says crypto will obliterate banks like JP Morgan and the SWIFT system, which is broken. Take a listen.
And I go, why do these banks even need to exist? What is it that JP Morgan Chase does, that DeFi, that blockchain can't do better, cheaper, more efficiently, more transparently? Hence really the creation of this idea and really hence my entrance into, the cryptocurrency world. And I think it's going to solve a lot of problems. The SWIFT system in this country is absolutely broken. Every week I'm waiting for a wire transfer to come in at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon or trying to send one out. It's slow, it's lethargic, it doesn't make any sense. You look at what digital currency can do. You look what a digital currency backed by the US dollar, backed by US treasuries that can be sent anywhere on earth instantaneously, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, can do. It's going to revolutionize finance, and we're very excited to be on the forefront of it.
So he knows that the system is broken. And do you honestly think that Eric Trump doesn't know the solution to the broken SWIFT problems? They already have the solution. It's Ripple and XRP, and he knows that. But why is he still pushing the Bitcoin Ethereum narrative? Because they're still trying to keep retail and the rest of the people outside of crypto distracted. They want to make sure when somebody new comes into the crypto space that the first thing they look at is either Bitcoin or Ethereum. The real solution to the problem, though, is XRP. And I believe Eric Trump knows that. There's no doubt in my mind. But they will never talk about XRP. Later they will, when XRP is moving money all around the world and it's sitting above $1,000. Then everybody's going to want to talk about XRP. They don't want you buying when the price is cheap. Swift is losing transactions to Ripple. Swift transaction volume is down 15%, while the XRP ledger activity is surging. Faster, cheaper, and on-chain, XRP is quietly becoming the new backbone of cross-border finance. Global payments are shifting. The takeover is already happening because Swift's 11,000 customers are not happy customers. You just seen Eric Trump. He's not happy with Swift. Everybody else out there using that system, they're just as unhappy as he is. That's why the shift is already happening. But here's Eric Van Miltenberg telling you how it all works. Take a listen.
How do we use digital currencies? This is where actually an asset called XRP that we happen to own quite a bit of and are a big champion of comes into play. The messaging, the settlement addresses some big pain points in that cross-border payment flow. What it doesn't address is liquidity. And by liquidity, it just means are the funds where they need to be in the right denomination to actually make that payout? And what happens today in the correspondent banking system is there is the need for the sending bank actually to have opened up a bank account with the receiving bank. It's called a nostro account, Latin for our. So it's our account. I'm Wells Fargo. I want to set up an account with Standard Chartered in Singapore. I actually go and I put funds in that nostro account. Wells Fargo parks capital in that foreign account, waiting for the Wells Fargo customer to come and say, hey, I have a vendor in Southeast Asia. Take, shoot, I should use Thailand because I know it's Thai baht. I forget the currency in Malaysia. But take the local currency and pay out that partner. And of course, Wells Fargo doesn't have to only do that with Standard Chartered in Singapore. It has to do that with dozens, if not hundreds, of other correspondent banking partners around the world. That's a hugely inefficient use of capital. So how can we make that better? So we have a product called XRapid that allows banks to avoid that scenario. So if Wells Fargo instead holds XRP, and the bank in Standard Chartered in Singapore also deals in XRP, they can simply send that money over the blockchain, the XRP ledger, which is the blockchain that supports the currency XRP, in a matter of seconds. And instead of having to hold currencies in dozens and dozens of different countries, they are only holding one currency, and the time required to move money from one place to other goes down to literally seconds. It's a dramatic shift in thinking and a dramatic shift in the demands required of capital needs around the world. And it addresses, kind of, I'd say, the third big pain point associated with cross-border payments. Now, banks are...
So he just confirmed to you that Wells Fargo holds XRP. But beyond that, he's also telling you how unhappy they are with the current setup. They don't want to be locking away all these funds. They could be getting those funds back and then loaning it out for mortgages, car payments, whatever. The banks are already facing a liquidity crisis. XRP solves that liquidity crisis as well. Patrick Riley says, I won't be allocating any of my retirement plan to XRP. That's because XRP is already my retirement plan. Always has been. It's been my retirement plan for years. You know, when I got into XRP, the first thing I thought is, why am I still holding money at the bank? Everything went into XRP. Then I started to diversify. I started getting invested into XLM, XDC, and so on. Because I don't believe anybody should ever put all their eggs in one basket. But XRP is going to retire a lot of people in the crypto space, and it's not going to happen in 2030. It's going to happen over the course of the next 24 months. I said 24 months, but I think it could even happen sooner. We are on the verge of institutional adoption, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. I think they're still under the belief that we're just going to have a typical alt season. All these coins are going to have a major pullback, and then people are going to buy back in and then wait for the next cycle. It's going to be different this time around. If you claim to be in crypto but are bullish on XRP, you're not a serious person. And, you know, anybody that gets into crypto, they should absolutely look at XRP. You should always look at utility-driven cryptocurrencies. They're not gambling coins. They're not meme coins. You know, when I first got into crypto, I lost quite a bit of money early on gambling on meme coins before I finally realized there's better options out there. A lot of people made that mistake back then, though. You watched a YouTube video and the guy's like, put the money in now, and by Friday you're going to walk away with 1,000x, only to watch it rug pull over time. I have some coins that I'm like a trillionaire in that there's no liquidity there for anyone to cash out. I told you about Hawk in You a few times on this channel. I think I'm like half a billionaire in Hawk in You, but there's no liquidity. And I think that's going to be a problem with Bitcoin at some point. People are going to go to sell it, and there's not going to be any liquidity there for the actual sale to happen because there's so much fake tether propping up the price of Bitcoin right now. What's going to happen when tether it collapses out? That's going to happen because you could only get away with something for so long. And when you create value out of nothing, it's still worth nothing. And you could try to say, oh, well, tether is pegged to $1. Wait until it's not. And I believe that day will eventually happen. This comes from Jake Claver. So you can gift your crypto without triggering taxes if you stay under the annual exclusion. For 2025, that's about $19,000 per person. No tax owed if you're under that limit, but you still need to file IRS Form 709. It doesn't mean you paid anything. It's just for tracking your lifetime exemption. So yes, the gift can be tax-free, but the paperwork still matters. So say you want to give crypto to a family member. You could do it in a tax-free way, is what he's telling you. Up to $19,000 per person. I always see people saying, I'm going to retire a family member when I cash out my crypto. I'm going to pay off a family member's debt. You could do it in a tax-free way if you do it through a gift. I just thought that was worth sharing, and it was great to point out. President Trump just appointed Scott Bessent as acting IRS Commissioner. It is happening. Are we finally abolishing the IRS? This is a strategic move, in my opinion. I know Trump wants to do away with a lot of the taxes with the tariff money coming in. I don't think we're going to abolish the IRS right away. I think if that was to happen, it's going to happen over time. I would also like to see the Fed go. But taxes, it's just like them stealing from you. You go to work and they come in and they take a portion of your money every single week, every single month. Same thing with inheritance. Same thing with buying things. You're already taxed on the money, and then you get hit with another tax when you spend the money. The IRS needs to go. Do you know how booming the United States would be if there was no taxes? Oh my God, people would be fixing up their houses. They'd be opening business. They'd be buying cars. They'd be buying all kinds of things if there was no IRS. But maybe this puts us on that path now. Who knows where this is going? It's too soon to call, is what I'm saying. But we are going to see a lot of changes happen. With the Fed, I don't think it's going to happen until Jerome Powell's term is up in 2026. But I know a lot of the power is shifting from the Fed to the Treasury as well. Big things are happening in Washington, but it's too early. It's still speculation today. Once we start seeing other things being announced, then it will become fact. And until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.